Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, throw open your windows and call out to your neighbors. It's time for John Perrotta's Comedy Factory Zoom-A-Loozah, sponsored in part by A Million Little Things by Karen. We got a great show tonight. On the show tonight with us is Jonah Raposa, Elaine Polino, David Watson, and one of my favorite people, Chris Tabb. John, great esteemed panel tonight. I got to start it off. I got to tell you, Chris, I sent my son a text. I said, I'm interviewing Chris Tabb tonight. He gets back to me, he says, funniest person on the planet.
I don't even know if I've met your son.
You met my son. You met my son twice. I had you twice down at the Carousel Grill. First time, I don't think that roof is landed yet. I don't think it's landed yet. My son fell in love with you then, and then I brought you back the following year for the back by popular demand. We sold it out again. And I'll tell you, man, in any conversation you have with my son, you got to keep in mind, I've been doing stand-up like over 40 years. So he's been around stand-up. He's seen a lot of men and women take to the stage.
Seen everybody, yeah.
So you're talking like in the company of like Sebastian Maniscalco, Chris Rock, Jim Gaffigan.
Oh, my God.
My son says to this day in this text, Chris Tabb, funniest person on the planet.
Wow. Well, tell Mike Jr. I appreciate it, and you know, my name being amongst those, it's unbelievable. And look at me now.
I gotta tell you, man, the shows that we did, and I still have the Meatball Comedy Stop fan page up. And if you boys and girls want to challenge me on this, just visit the picture gallery for Chris's show up at what was then called Periwinkle's up in Massachusetts. We had like 350 people in that show. We had people sitting down on the riser coming down into the main function room. I had to set tables up there, and I turned away 15 people that night at the door for a Chris Tabb show.
Chris Tabb.
Hey, listen. All I want us to do is now not take those types of nights for granted. What we wouldn't do for some live comedy with 15 people in a room right now.
Yeah.
I don't mind 350.
Yeah.
It's making you appreciate it. It's making you appreciate it more. This is our blip. This was the divine intervention to say, appreciate the little things. That's why COVID is happening.
That's it, man. And I can tell you, Chris, I took a lot of pride in your shows. I'm from Warwick, so the Carousel Grill, I grew up right down the street from there. So that's in my neighborhood. So the people that would come to those shows were a lot of my friends. And I was there for 2 years. Every month we did a show. And man, your shows, both of your shows sold out. It was just incredible. Both of those performances were just top tier, incredible. God is.
And when I went on stage there, Chris, they asked me if I had a link.
You crushed it there, Johnny P. I had you there a couple of times too, but I want to go to.
Here's what I remember about that show, though, and all my Cronin shows: the most elaborate set you've ever seen for a comedy show. I mean, because I had never been there before, so I didn't expect the whole brick wall, and it was just amazing. I was taken aback a little bit.
I remember
you
Chris
transformed the place.
Yeah, we did. We definitely did. I remember when you went up that night the first time, you did 15 minutes just on Oakland Beach in the Carousel Grill. It was hilarious. The place is absolutely going hysterical with hilarity. And I can say this because it actually happened. At one of the A tables right up front, because you remember that stage was up high off the ground. I brought the tables right up to it. So this tremendous rush of laughter comes right down. And there's a woman at one of those A tables. She's like ready for CPR. She's laughing so hard. Chris leans right into her table and says, is this the first time you've ever seen a Negro? Absolutely. It was so funny. They've got Chris on stage later. He's taking pictures with all the fans, sold out all his merchandise. Every time I booked you, you sold right out. Everything was like
some good nights.
Gone.
It was
gone.
Now they
just
sell
always
Doughboys
been
and
my-
clam cakes over there, Chris. It's now Iggy's Doughboys. Where you performed is Iggy's Doughboys. You can get Doughboys, clam chowder, clam cakes, and there's no sign that Chris Tab was ever there.
I'll tell you, they need to bring Chris back because they sold that restaurant and then it went out of business.
Wow.
Now you can buy a great
Wow.
Doughboy there, Chris. You like dough? Ever had a Doughboy?
Is that
good
like
stuff.
fried dough? Is that
Fried
like
dough
fried dough?
with the sugar. It's killer, Chris. You can tell a couple of jokes outside while you're there.
Well, listen, that was just my way of I just appreciate the people, people coming out and all of our businesses. I mean, people have a choice on what they can do with their money or their nightly entertainment, and the fact that they chose to buy a ticket for whatever reason to come see you or support Mike or see Joanna or whatever. I appreciate every person that sits in there. I remember a comic told me once, never cheat the people because no one's there by accident. So if they paid to come in, there's no mail. It's not their fault. You know what I mean? There's no bad crowds. Just get
That's
up and
right.
have a good time.
You're right. They made a conscious choice to come out to see that show. And we certainly do appreciate it. Chris, I'm gonna come back to you. Joanna, you had said in the while we were in the pre-virtual green room that you had a couple of stories you wanted to share with us. Let's hear what you got.
Well, I'm pretty. It's not going to be anything bad. Don't worry, I won't blow anybody's. I want to point out, first of all, Mr. Tabtastic got here, and he's also in red. So all the men are wearing red tonight, and the women are in black. And I just thought I'd point that out. And this
Valentine's week.
This is my pajama top. I don't even know what I'm wearing every day. Like I go to the
Thanks for
grocery store.
dressing up.
I know it. Hey, it's got bling. It's got bling. So, I don't know what I'm wearing to the grocery store half the day. I'm like, did I sleep in this? And now I'm shuffling through Whole Foods. It's pathetic. But no, that's not what I wanted to talk about. I'm really excited because for the last couple of months, I've been patronizing a CBD store on the east side here of Providence. And the owners are really nice. I've been having good luck with products and developed a good relationship with them. Told them I'm a comedian and they want to collaborate. They even reached out to me, like they're calling me now, and they're really good people. So it's not a huge space. We can't necessarily do events in there, but they want to sponsor. And I've also been in conversations with a nice venue owner in East Providence, who's got a pretty nice place where we could do events. And I still am connected to a great business owner, entrepreneur from Connecticut, who's an artist. And he's a dynamic guy, and he wants to do like combination. I think that might be, and this is going to lead to a question for all you guys. It might be that we're moving towards these hybrid kind of things where there's no more pure comedy until we get back into the fully settled world, if that ever happens, and we can have crowds assemble. But like sort of these combination things where you're sponsoring a business, you're promoting maybe some information, some wellness information, and then you're also selling merchandise, but a variety of merchandise. And that's what we're hoping. You know, I've got some ideas and I've been talking with some people, and I have ideas for the components of how this can work. So I'm kind of excited and I want to develop that. And I would be honored if all of you would join in. And at one point in time, we're probably going to be talking to comedians. So it's all very, very new, but I'm kind of excited. I'm sorry to bother on about it, but I'm very, very excited.
That's cool. That's cool. We'll see what happens, Joanna.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It's not, I mean, it's nice to have a business owner sort of coming for you as opposed to you badgering them. And I got, 2 or 3 people that are sort of talking to me. And when we come out of hibernation, and I hope that's soon because I am consuming more tequila than I should. I really hope that, this leads to the question. I'm sorry, hold your thought. And that is, do you think once stuff starts happening out in venues that there's going to be more competition among like the comics to find stage time, limited stage time? Or do you think that there's going to be a high enough demand from all these people, you know, our audience members, our potential audience members who've been stuck in their houses for months and months and months? What do you think is going to balance out? Like, how do you think it's going to be?
I think there's too many comics and there's not going to be enough stage time. That's what I
Yeah.
think. That's right. I
Yeah.
don't know what you guys think, but I think there's way too many comics and
That's always been in the way.
venues are closing. I had the
Right.
venue closed. I got venues that are just doing takeout. It's going to be, I don't even know if it'll come back this year for me, all the rooms I booked. I called all the people and they're either closed, doing takeout, they're not ready. Maybe the fall, so who knows? And I think there's too many comics and there's not going to be enough venues.
There's always been too many comics, but you know, but
takeouts.
what's that?
I like performing at takeouts.
Oh, you're gonna stand,
My best stuff is there, you know.
you're gonna stand outside the Chinese restaurant, Dave, and tell jokes.
Get a lot of traffic. A lot of traffic.
What do you think, Chris?
Well, a little bit of both. I feel like, yeah, there's a lot of industries that got hit hard and won't come back, especially mom and pop restaurants. It's just going to be a lot for those guys to come back. You know, Mike and both John, just masters at having the great relationship with businesses, because you can always tell a good room when the business supports it. I mean, I've done comedy in places where, you know, the people that run the restaurant are like, can we finish this comedy thing so we can turn on the music and get to the rest of the night? And they're pushing you out the door. So a great relationship with a restaurant is unbelievable in our business. Yeah, and it's unfortunate that COVID has wiped out a lot of those, you know, mom and pops are looking to do something on a Thursday night or a Friday night or something along those lines. Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be too many comics, too many singers, too many everything. I don't worry about the comedians as much as I worry about the growth of the online superstar. You know, how many podcasts have popped up now and, you know, YouTube shows and things like that. And I think us as comedians, those are the guys we're going to have to compete with, because if somebody's got 10,000 people following them on their podcast and they're not even a comedian, a place will book them faster than they're going to book you.
But then they won't be able to deliver the same way you do. That's the thing. They just won't.
Well, there's deliver and there's asses and seats.
No,
the venue is always going to choose asses and seats.
Right. And I agree with both points, Joanna, that you brought and what Chris brought up. There has been a lot of virtual shows. A lot of people have podcasts today. I related to, I haven't been in church in 16 weeks. So I watch church every week online, but that's not the same as being in the sanctuary. I strongly believe that the venues that have survived this are going to look to us to help them get back, Laughter and Hope. We have our first show booked March 26th up in Portsmouth, New Hampshire at the Roundabout Diner and Lounge. Now, that's the first one that we've done in well over a year. So the hand of God is on us on that. And I'm believing that the hand of God is going to stay on us and continue to open up venues for us. And I strongly believe someone like you, John, who you've had Rhode Island Comedy Factory, John Perrotta's Comedy Factory for 30 years. People throughout New England have been looking to you to be entertained. So
I got nothing.
Right now,
Not
today,
at this
during
point.
this conversation, you have nothing. The point I'm making is, though, when people know when it's time to come back, and we've seen restrictions being dialed back here in Rhode Island, they're dialed back now. You can have your bars again, 90 minutes. You can have the bar open for people staying at the bar for 90 minutes. They're letting them stay open later. So even as the warmer weather approaches, restrictions are going to dial back again. So now these venues, they're going to look to you, and these people that you've been entertaining for 30 years,
I don't
they're
think
gonna come out.
I don't think much is going to happen. In my opinion, next year. Next
You
year.
let
I
them
don't
know
see.
Chris Tav's going to be at Lemongrass, and they're going to be lined up down Post Road to come and see
I
him.
went to Lemongrass last week. He's standing out there with a bag of fried rice. That's it. They are not open. They will not do a show.
They're
I
saying
No, but
text-
I
be
think what he's saying. I think what he's saying. It makes a little bit of sense. He's saying to get that revenue back. You know, to get the people in. They're going to be looking for those types of things. I mean, they can only sell so much Chinese food, but if they know you can bring 60 people in on a Thursday, you know, they're going to opt for that as well. Because
There's a whole nother problem. The whole nother problem is I did mostly dinner shows, or you can eat, or you can laugh, where they could go to a buffet, and those buffets are no longer going to be allowed for indefinite. So they're either going to have to serve them a meal, sit down dinner, or so the brand I had, or you can eat,
they'll
or you
figure
can
it
laugh.
out.
Yeah, we got to
They'll
figure it out, Chris.
They will
they'll
Send me
figure
a
it out.
link, Chris. Send me a link. You got to go over to Elaine, Mike. We got to get Elaine in this.
We got it. We got to get Elaine in on the conversation. What are your thoughts, Elaine? And first, boys and girls, I want to say this. We have had a lot of people on these shows. We're probably up over episode 102, 103. However, Elaine is the only person who has dated 3 Academy Award winners. So we're going to go right to you, Elaine.
4.
4. Now it's
4. I forgot one.
Who are the 4, Elaine? Remind us who everybody is.
That's why she's only using her first name. Damn it.
No, but I forgot about there was God, a friend of mine owned a big restaurant in New York, and he was out in LA for the Academy Awards, and he introduced me to a friend of his who was the composer for this movie, big film, and damn if he didn't win the Academy Award for the score. So
That's
my date, I did actually date one more Academy Award winner, but I mean, just casually as a nice
Who
friend.
were the 3 actors? Who were the 3 actors you dated?
Well, actually, it was Joe Pesci.
Oh my God.
No, and Kevin was more like a friend date, you know, and then Frank and Sly, not together, but, you know, just mostly
Well,
Frank.
for first names.
I know, I don't want to keep talking about
Sylvester
it. No,
Stallone
but
and his brother, Frank and Sly.
Whoa.
Well, I went to their house for Thanksgiving. That was wild. But I was a kid. I was all in Hollywood. I was the new, you know, when you're the young girl going out there, everybody, you know, your agent wants everybody to meet you, and you get invited to all the parties. And
I can't relate. I've never been a woman in New York. I don't know, but
You mean LA?
LA,
sounds
yeah.
interesting. In LA, I've never been a woman in LA, but
Just saying.
But I was
He's been a
thinking, how
woman in
about
Phoenix, Arizona. Chris goes up there once a year. He does that. I love you,
No, but
Chris.
how
You know
about,
that.
I'm thinking doing a room, right? And I'm going to do comedy in a bubble.
Comedy in a bubble. Comedy in a
I'll just get a
bubble.
big clear bubble and wear something, you know, baboomy, and get in there and just do comedy in a bubble and just like a hamster and walk around table to table and talk.
Oh, that's funny.
don't
That's
knock
a great
it. Don't knock
idea.
it. It might be $1 million idea.
Seriously.
yeah.
I'm sure there were people that hung up the phone from the first guy that brought up Blue Man Group.
Exactly.
And look at them now.
Yeah, you never know.
Exactly.
I guess you'd have to have a big
Nothing's off
legs
limits.
through. It would almost be like those old Ziegfeld Follies or Vegas shows where you were in the bubble, but from the legs down, you just have like plastic, you insert your legs in.
Listen,
And
I think you just hit it because nothing's off limits in Vegas. And I'm telling you, they're going to be the first ones trying to bounce back. You go to them with an idea about you in a bubble floating across the stage. They'll have 1,000 people in there. Look at Cirque du Soleil.
I know, it'll be a new one. It'll be comedians in a bubble, and then you get all the dancers behind you, and they're bouncing in their bubbles.
Listen, and if you come after 10:30, it's topless.
Yeah,
That's Vegas for you. That's how Vegas works.
then you get a double bubble.
I'll tell you, if I booked
Vegas.
that act, the next call I would be making after I booked it would be to get the licensing right so I could have your intro music be the theme song to I Dream of Jeannie. That would
It
work.
is.
Oh, I would love that.
I'm telling you.
I love
I'm
that.
telling you. We just hit on about $3 million right here.
Oh
Hey,
man.
let's all, okay, we'll get it all copyrighted, and anybody in the audience to steal it, we're coming after you. We're Italian, or at least
That's
some.
it. That's right. Dave Watson, weigh in on that. You like that for an idea? You think you could book that show?
Hello, Vegas. What? Oh, absolutely. I
He's
don't know if they
calling
have
his
to make it
agent.
big enough for me, but I would love to do that too. I mean,
Yeah. That'd
That
be
would be
kind of
great.
fun. It'd be a cross between like Dodgems and Vegas acts. Show.
I don't think I could fit in a bubble.
I like it. Well, you can even put you
I
can have
lost
food in the
weight, but-
bubble. You could have bubbles in the bubble, food in the bubble, whatever.
Oh my God.
I'll
I've
tell
never
you,
been
it could bring a whole new meaning to heckling. That's for sure.
I'd probably throw up in the bubble, and that would be its own form of entertainment.
That'd be good.
You would be on the late show. You would be on the late show in Vegas.
Oh, God.
John, you and I could be in the
I
hot air
can't
balloon.
stay up that late, Chris.
Yeah, a little Cirque du Soleil hot air balloon float above the stage.
There you go.
Bubbles everywhere.
I love Cirque du Soleil. Has anybody ever
Oh, yeah.
seen Cirque du Soleil? Oh
Yeah,
God.
that was
I've
wonderful.
been, yeah. That was the one thing I wanted to do while I was in Vegas, a tourist. But I've never been a huge fan of the show Jackass. Does everybody know the show Jackass?
Yeah.
Yes.
Steve-O and what's the guy's name?
I like the midget. I like the
Johnny
midget.
Knoxville.
Pam Marrera or something like that. Pam
And
Margera.
Majera. He was
No, but
just-
who's the
Johnny Knoxville.
leader? Johnny Knoxville. Johnny Knoxville.
yeah.
And obviously he's not missing any meals now. He's a millionaire many times over, as silly as you might think the show is. But I watched an interview the other night with Steve-O. He was on with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And again, I've never been a huge fan of the show, but that guy's story is so compelling that it totally changed my attitude of anything is possible. Anything is possible, because Steve-O has no talent. He'll tell you he has zero talent.
But he can
But-
blow himself up.
Well, he's an
Yeah.
attention. He's an attention person. He always wants eyes on him. And the way he found Johnny Knoxville is he was at the end of his rope, and it really on drugs and everything else. And he tried everything. He was a bar magician, and he was a street magician, or whatever, any odd jobs, riding bikes or whatever it was, had to be eyes on him. And he said he would get high every day, and he had a list of about 2,000 emails. And every day he would get high and take a few names off the list and just email them and just say, "Oh, I'm Steve-O. I should be famous. I should be on your show," or whatever. One day he emails out of the blue Johnny Knoxville and says, I'm gonna jump out the window. I'm in this hotel. I'm going to jump out the window. If you don't put me on TV and help me, I'm going to jump out the window, I swear. Johnny Knoxville answers the email and shows up at the hotel the next day with like 4 guys, grabs him, puts him in rehab. He said his life changed forever.
Wow.
Now they're working on their 4th Jackass movie.
Wow.
Just from an email.
Yeah, man, he's written a book, and just his whole life just changed now. Rich many times over.
So what you're telling us, Chris, is we should get a bunch of emails and start emailing people every day.
I'm
Send me a
telling
link.
you should get some duct tape and duct tape yourself to a billboard somewhere like he did.
Yeah, you're right. He was up on a billboard
In
recently.
a bubble.
Yes. Yes.
I saw a video just yesterday or the day before. Bam Margera, who's part of that franchise, he's not in the new one coming up, and he's not in a good place right now. He's
Yeah.
very evident he's back drinking and drugging. He needs to get help. He needs Jesus. That's what he needs.
Well, he's been in and out of rehabs. I know
Right.
that.
He needs a lot of help. They need to reach out to him, get him cleaned up, because it was sad to watch that video, the shape that he's in. And to Chris's point, to see where Steve-O is taking himself now. He's got a successful podcast. He gets A-listers to come on with him. He's a likable guy. People like him.
And he's doing stand-up. He's doing stand-up now.
And he's doing stand-up. I remember when they did a Comedy Central roast. He was on, and Mike Tyson was on it, and he wanted Tyson to hit him, and Tyson's like, "Dude, I'm not
I'm not
gonna hit you.
That's
If I hit you, I'm putting you on the path to glory." But what Steve-O still did was he ran into his fist. I mean, the guy's just unhinged.
Yeah.
But can you
He's
imagine
fearless.
asking Mike Tyson, dude, when we do this show, I want you to rip one.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson, are you serious?
At the end of this interview with Stone Cold Steve Austin, he had Steve Austin duct tape him to a tractor wheel, and he was duct taped on the tractor wheel, and Steve Austin drove off. And he was duct
No, he did it.
Yes, he
Oh
did.
my God. Oh my God.
Yeah, man.
Crazy.
Oh man.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Crazy.
I don't think any of us are going to those lengths, but it's almost just putting yourself in a mindset of, you know, why not me, or what's not possible, and it's all about achieving your happiness, your level of happiness, or being satisfied with what you do. You know, a lot of
Right.
people ask us about comedy and, hey, don't you want to do the Tonight Show? Yeah, I'd love to do the Tonight Show, but you know, I'm happy with or without it. I love doing stand-up comedy. I legitimately love being on stage and doing, and I hope the feeling never leaves me. I honestly hope I can hold on to this forever. I mean, Rodney Dangerfield was looking pretty rough, you know, going out, and I hope it's not that bad, but I want to do this for as long as I can. Sure, I'd like to go off in other directions and do more things, but you know, Chris Rock once said, the only reason I do movies is so more people will come to see me do stand-up.
Right, like cross-pollination.
Yeah.
Cross-pollination.
Literally.
No,
It is, yeah.
that's another. Jesse Blue said that the other night on our show. Now, Chris, in addition to stand-up, you also do motivational speaking too, don't you?
I got a foot in those waters.
That's
So I'm you know, I think the words "and then COVID happened" is going to be put on money. I think it's going to be put on money. But yeah, I'm definitely leaning in that direction. And again, it's something like it's almost like the church mic, whereas you know, I don't want to half-ass it. It's more of a calling and something that you're feeling comfortable doing. It's not like you know, you're just kind of doing it for the money or whatever, because there's no satisfaction in any of that. And
Right.
just, you know, for the check, or we'd all be Steve-O. We'd all just be stepping out into traffic. You know,
I
or
remember
whatever it takes
Chris
for a buck, you know?
I remember Chris going a handful of years back. You were involved with some youth organizations, and there was some video on that of you talking with these kids.
Yeah, it was the weirdest thing, man. I did a show in Hartford, Connecticut at the I don't know if any of you guys have ever worked at the Brouhaha.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in the basement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite rooms, man. One of my favorite rooms. But so one night, a college professor sees me. She's there with her husband, and approaches me after the show, and I don't know how she got this out of my stand-up, but she asked me, have I ever done any speaking? Have I ever done speaking engagements? And, you know, at the time, again, something in the back of my head, but no, I had never done it. 6 weeks later, I'm speaking to this woman's class at, I think it's called Tunxus Community College
Yep.
in
Tunxus.
Connecticut. Yeah.
Yep. In Farmington.
I'm
Mhm.
speaking to her class about stand-up and how I got into it, and how I, you know,
Nice.
a reformed class clown, and dabbled a little bit into creative writing. And I mean, we all have our own way of creating. I more or less write on stage. I'm not really a notebook kind of guy, but lately I've been jotting things down in a notebook because I'm over 50 and it's hard to remember things. But I'm you know, I'm not a writer per se, but at the time I was talking to them about, you know, just turning your thoughts into actions and things like that. I probably only had 20 minutes and ended up speaking for an hour and a half. and it's things like that to know, when you're passionate and you start answering questions and things like that. So it's funny you saw that, Mike, because not a lot of people have seen it. It's buried somewhere out there on YouTube, but that was the sort of the catalyst to get me going. Because we've done those things like, I can't believe I just did that.
Right, right.
I can't believe they just paid me to do it.
That's great.
And I did it.
They
I
call
can't
that
believe I did it.
They call that an honorarium. And I actually got asked a few years ago to speak at Eastern Connecticut State University to do the same, just to talk about comedy, because I had a friend who was a professor there and they were doing a class. And I'm like, what am I doing here? This is great. And the students were so polite. And
Yeah.
one of them fixed my collar.
Did you bring the tequila, Joanna?
No, I didn't. This is before I started hitting the tequila really bad. But I actually did my old lady character for the class, and then I answered questions as myself. But I was going to ask you guys, the Parade magazine that comes in the paper on Sunday that keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and I want to kill somebody because of that. Well, there's an article about Bette Midler, who, like, when I was a kid, she had some hits on the radio, and I know that people love her. She's never been one of my favorites, but I recognize she's talented. Her thing was, she used to sing a lot of old songs for her generation, and she wasn't getting anywhere being a performer until she made her own show. I think she was in San Francisco. She just said, I'm going to sing all these old songs that everyone thinks are uncool in the 70s. And she probably flashed her tits a couple times, and it was done. That's it. It's like, boom. And so her message was, do what you love. Do what you love. Like Chris said, if it's not in your heart, no one is ever going to get really huge these days unless they kill a president or marry a king and they're black. You know what I mean?
We said no politics.
Cut that part out of the Zoom.
Sorry.
Cut that part out.
Well, that wasn't really politics. We don't want to get into it because I could say a lot of things.
No, I'm talking about people, from way in the
get
past.
famous.
JFK or
somebody who put
Yeah.
glue in their
now.
Yeah, we don't want,
It's a great point you bring, because there's no such thing as fame now. You know what I mean? There's no such thing as fame, because we all come from a generation of when you heard somebody's name, you go, oh, that's the actor from such and such. They're famous. You know what I mean? If you saw, Sherman Hemsley walking down the street from the Jeffersons, that's Sherman Hemsley from the Jeffersons. You knew it when that's Frank Sinatra, famous. Now your next door neighbor's famous.
Yeah.
Because there's shows out there now that I've never heard of. That I've never heard somebody say, that's so and so from that show. I've never heard of that show. I've never.
Right.
After these housewife shows, the bar has been, and I'm not taking anything away from the housewife shows. If I was a housewife, do it. But the bar for fame is definitely lower than it was for like Farrah Fawcett. You know what I mean?
But Farrah Fawcett died of anus cancer. So I think that we can all...
Joanna, did we have to go there, Joanna? Did we have to go there?
It's a different world, is what I'm saying.
Yes, it's a different world.
Chris brings up a good point. Social media influences, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. It's changed the level field. And Elaine, you can speak to this because you lived in Hollywood. You've done some acting in some good productions. Case in point, the Logan brothers. They're these two blonde-headed kids. They're YouTube influences, and one of them just, he's been taking some boxing lessons, and he knocked out a former NBA player a couple months ago. Now he wants to take on Floyd Mayweather. I am praying to Jesus that Floyd takes this fight just to shut this kid up. You are not a professional boxer. You have no right even mentioning your name with Floyd Mayweather. So this whole social media aspect changes that. Now, Elaine, someone like yourself who had to work hard to get the gigs you got, what do you think about that?
I think it's kind of crazy. Like you said, all you have to be is some nut job that says he wants to fight someone or this or that, or you get a girl and she shows her rear end and blows up the internet with it. And where before, as you did that, you didn't get a job. If you did Playboy or anything like that, and you were an aspiring actress, You were banned from sitcoms and regular, nighttime
Yep.
TV,
Right.
daytime TV. Now, the nastier, more disgusting, the more untalented you are. But in a way, it's kind of, it's two sides of a coin. It gives anybody a chance to be famous or make money, and like you said, do what you love. And if someone wants to show their rent, fine. If someone wants to get punched in the face, ugh. Anyway.
I feel like
Elaine, I think you should challenge Betty White to a fight.
I think that would be great. I think we should mud wrestle.
Do it on Steve O's podcast.
That's it.
Elaine, you always have a story when we come on. You got any stories lined up tonight? I like your
gosh.
stories.
Okay, I'm trying to think. Did I ever tell you the time, I was with the mafia guy in Disneyland?
No, you didn't tell me that one. What's that?
Should
Oh,
you
no.
be telling that story? I don't want to be involved.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna turn my camera off.
I think he's probably not going to ever get out where he is now. But Jesus, please.
Oh
No.
my God.
No, this is a true story. One time, I was doing a sitcom.
Oh,
played-
Dave Watson, you
played-
haven't said much on the show tonight, man, but that was definitely hilarious.
What?
Sorry.
Go ahead, Elaine. I want to hear about this mob guy in Disneyland.
Listen,
It
you're
figured.
about to
but
tell
this-
a mob. You're about to tell a mob story. As the only black guy on this Zoom, I got to tell you, I'm pleading the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th.
I mean, they were alleged. Anyway, that's how you say it, right?
Always
They were
are.
alleged, right?
Alleged.
But you know what? This was a long time ago. I hope, I don't know. One time I was doing a sitcom playing a redheaded showgirl had the female lead on a sitcom, and Abe Vigoda was one of he played the house detective, and it was kind of cute. A fish, right?
Fish, yeah.
And it was fun. I mean, it was really fun. And while I was there, and you had to wear all these showgirl costumes, so it was like wearing a pink bikini and platform shoes and feathers and stuff. And the whole time. So I guess there were two guys standing there, and they were talking, to the director. And then after he came over, he said, "Look, we're producers, and we're from New York, but we're producing some films in LA. Here's my card. Give me a call. I'd like to, have you call this guy that's from LA, and he'll give you an audition." So of course I did. And while I'm there, then the guy's there. I get the part, and he asked me out. So, but he was a good-looking young guy. But, they were both Italian, and I'm from the East Coast, so I thought it was so fun. I said, "Oh, this is going to be a blast." And one guy, they came over on the MGM Grand. Remember that airline that was like a real upscale airline? And so they met a stewardess on there. So one guy was dating the stewardess, and she had a kid. So we all went out to dinner that night, and the limo driver picked me up, and he's asking me all these questions. "How long have you known this guy?" I said, "No, I don't know. He's a producer. I just, I'm going to do a part in his film, and that's how I know him. I don't know him." And so I was wondering, why is he asking so many questions? So we went out that night. It was nice. The next day, he said, "Let's go to Disneyland." I said, "Okay, that'd be fun." And she had her little kid with her. So we go to Disneyland. And, we're walking all around, and these guys are and they're buying everything, and they're buying all these presents for the kid, and we're going on the rides. And they were really good looking guys. I mean, I was young, and they were not much older, about the same age. And we had a great time. And all of a sudden I started getting a little weird, and the limo driver comes up, and he kind of distanced himself from us. And he said, "Look, I'm going to go get the car. And I'll be right back." So I said, he goes, "Just go over there." So we're walking through the parking lot, and it was all the motorhomes. And I'm saying, why is the limo parked with all the motorhomes? And all of a sudden I see all these people with these blue jackets on, FBI, right? And, we're walking through the parking lot to get to the limo. And I said to the girl from Rhode Island, I said, "You know what, something's going down here. And let's go this way. Come with me." And I took her behind a motorhome, and that's when the big limo he grabbed all of us, and he grabbed us and threw us in one of the motorhomes. And all of a sudden, you see a swarm of men, women, all with guns, and they surround these two dudes. And
Wow.
they picked him up, and we never seen him again. That was it.
See, Elaine, you should have dated him again. Who wasn't that when I
My
left
date
you?
got arrested at Disneyland.
Oh my God.
And Goofy read him his rights. No.
It's a good thing you had your wits about you and you didn't come out and go, are they filming the movie?
But nowadays, if that happened, I would have been taking selfies going, I'm famous, look, I'm getting arrested at Disneyland.
You see, that's what we're talking about. She would have been looking for her 15 minutes. And this is
I would
me
never-
with the FBI agents. And you see me running right there.
No, and then they take us in this thing, and then they're giving us the third degree in the limo. Thank God the limo driver had asked us all these questions and asked, oh, I got fluff in my hair from my pillows. Anyway, he's not, we didn't know anything. So we got away with it, and they took us back to where our cars were. And I never have seen or heard from the guy again, thank you God, until
Probably
now
still
when
in
he
shape.
sees this. But I'll never mention names. I don't tell, but I just think it's fun. Huh?
You got to do a book. You got to do a book, a blog, or a podcast, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't try to be mean, but I get stories that can curl your hair. It's fun.
If
Whatever.
you can curl my hair, you're damn sure doing a lot. Those are some amazing
It'll grow
stories.
back. No, you look great. You look good the way you are. Very nice.
Those are some amazing stories.
I hear a dog barking. Who's got the dog? I did
dog
hear a
allowed.
dog barking. Must be, maybe I'm getting
Is it
schizophrenic.
your dog?
But it's J-Rap. It's J-Rap. She had some of those CBD samples from that store.
Yeah, right.
Davey, you don't do CBD. You don't do that stuff, do you, brother?
Me?
Yes.
No, I use medical marijuana actually. So
I do that too.
That was CBD.
That's why everybody's so happy, right?
I don't even know the initials.
I don't either.
CBD is legal, and well, I mean, you don't have to have a license to get it.
What does
and
it stand for? He
Yeah,
said.
what's
What does
it-
what does
CBD
it
stand for?
Cannabinoid.
Cannabinoid.
Cannabidiol. So
Yeah,
you
but
have
there-
all
but-
these.
But there's three letters. What's the C stand for? The B stand for? The D stand for?
It's not 3 words. I think it's just a short for cannabidiol.
So it's an acronym.
ooh,
Not an
Michael.
acronym.
Oh, that's
Mikey,
a
that's
good
a,
word.
what do you got, the dictionary there?
No,
Sorry.
but you know what? Because
Sorry,
acronyms
acronym is
drive
something-
me crazy. No one spells anymore. We have all
No.
forgotten how to spell.
First, we
Everybody
have to
is
know what an acronym is.
Acronym. And I tell people, dude, I'm 62 years old. Spell it for me. Tell me what you want to say. I want to understand you. I had a guy one time send me an email all loaded with acronyms. So I got back to him and I used the first letter of every word I wanted to say and sent it. He gets back to me with a question mark. And I got back to him. I said, now you know how I feel when I try to read your emails.
I mean,
Hello.
Mike's got some long ass text, man. He spells everything out in his text.
I'm telling you, man, I do. I want to read. I don't know what's being said some of the times with all this stuff that's being passed around. And then you've got emojis that represent this and that. That puts me fearful. I don't know what emoji to use to get back. I don't want to be sending the wrong message.
Don't send
Listen.
any eggplants.
Here's all you have to know: if a guy sends you the eggplant, delete his number from your phone.
There you go. All right.
Oh, gee.
Mike, we
I
got
thought
10
I read
minutes left
somewhere the
before the wrap up. Where we going, Chris? We got 10 minutes left before the wrap up. What do you got,
I
Chris?
thought I read somewhere the other day that they were going to be banning the laughing, crying emoji.
Really?
Along with the tears coming out of the eye. I don't know. It's
Why?
overused or
Yeah.
overused or something like that. They're just going to replace it with something with the middle finger.
Those
or
are the
something.
only
But
ones
anyway.
I understand.
I don't know why.
I had some comics send me an unsolicited, I don't get this a lot, but I had some comic that I never met send me this unsolicited message. So I just thought I'd have some fun. I sent back a series of emojis. I'm like, you can decipher what all this means. Then he messages me back. He's like, everything all right? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just, you know,
You're
this is
J.
all-
Ray.
I have one
Funny.
emoji. I have one
all I have
emoji
to
story
say.
that I can share with you people. About 4 years ago, this men's Christian texting ministry that I was involved in. You get these devotionals every day, and then one day I get a one-off from this person. It was really cool. He took the time to take the picture, devotional page, and whatnot. So I would read it and read it and read it every day, and it got to the point where he never missed a beat all the time. And a lot of times, God's talking right to me through these devotions. Like, man, this is awesome. So as time goes on, I'm sharing with other people who this is. Like, well, who is he? I said, I don't know. I have no idea who he is. Well, ask him. Well, I'm not going to ask him. I'm just, he's just sending it. He's just sending it. So then one day he had sent something to me, and I said to him, I said, that really touched my heart. God's talking directly to me this morning, because that is something I absolutely needed to hear. And he sent back the praying hands, and they were black. So I said, okay, now I know that he's a person of color. And now here we are. Now, here's how God works. I was down on one knee not too long ago, right around that time. I'm about to go down. It's going to be ugly. So now we open up some dialogue. He tells me his name, the whole bit. We're getting going. He's a football fan and everything. So I've never met this guy. If I bumped into him at Stop and Shop, I'd say, excuse me, I don't know who he is at all. So we get talking, and he said, what do you got going on? So, and I told him what was going on. He goes, what are we praying for? So I told him what we were praying for. He sends me $275 out of the blue. Never met this man.
This on Facebook?
No, this is through text messaging.
He just started texting you out of the blue.
Yeah, it broke off. Pay attention. It broke off from a men's Christian ministry
Right.
text
Oh,
group.
okay.
And then
group text.
he
Yeah.
just, God put it on his heart, reach out to this guy on one-to-one, and he did. And I would read the devotionals every day. So here we are now. We're like, what, five, maybe 6 years later. He still sends them to me every day. I know his name. He's a great guy. And the story was the emoji. I didn't know who he was at all until the hands came in black. And I said, well, now I know he's a person of color. And we've developed this great friendship through that texting ministry.
Can you hook me up with this guy? Because I'm short $275 on my oil bill.
There you go, man. No,
If you could hook me, I would love to connect with this dude.
you
Even if he sends me $250, Mike, I'll be happy.
That's right, man. That's right. That's right.
How much money is he saying so far?
That was it. Just the 275.
Just sent $275 one day, and that was it.
I was down on one knee. I was about to get the 10 count, but God always shows up. God always shows up.
Yep.
And he showed up through that guy who I, at that time, did not even know.
Wow.
And you kept the 275? What'd you say?
I needed the
He
275.
needed it.
Oh, okay.
I needed it. I needed the 275.
Okay. I hear you. I
Did
hear
you
you.
tell him you needed 275, or did he just send 275?
How do you know the number that you
Now,
needed?
all right. See, here's what's happening. The
It's not the
producers.
bill.
These are faithless people you're talking to. I understand what you're saying, Mike.
Thank you, Chris.
An amazing,
I don't understand.
I do
beautiful
too.
gesture. It just means we all, regardless, we all have to have a little bit of faith. You have to have a little bit of faith, no matter what you believe in, no matter who you pray to. If you pray to no one, you always have to have a little bit of faith. I mean, belief in yourself and your talents and your gifts, but you always got to have a little bit of faith, because when those things happen that you can't explain, and you just, well, this guy just, you know, he just sent me 275. You have to have a little bit of faith. I don't know
I'm
how I
going to
ended up at
Mike's.
that college.
I'm going to Mike's for lunch tomorrow, and we're going to discuss this further because I'm still confused.
I'm telling you,
I don't know if God told him to send you the 275 or you
yes,
told him.
God definitely did.
So
God,
you needed 275, and God
Right.
sent him a
Wait,
message.
wait,
Send
wait.
this guy
What about-
275.
let me give it to you one more time. The daily devotional that he sent that day talked about what I was in, talked about the struggles I was having up against the wall. And I said that to him. I said, man, I needed to hear that today. Thank you. God spoke to my heart, and that opened up more dialogue. He just asked me directly, what's going on? I told him, I got some financial troubles right now. And that's what I've got. And I didn't ask him at all. So he got back to me and he said, what is the amount we're praying for? Notice how he said, what's the amount we're praying for? So I told him. He gets back to me telling me he's going to give me 275. And I was like, praise Jesus. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. And then all legit, he sent me the receipt. I went down and picked it up. So that's the hand of God working. That's faith. That's faith in action. The word of God tells us, Hebrews 11:1, faith is the substance of things not seen, but yet believed. Just like I can take the Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry's living in his car. He's done. He's telling Jesus, I'm done with this. I'm done. And he's saying this as he's upstairs in a theater. And God says to him, it's done when I say it's done. Look out the window. They were lined up down the street and around the corner, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You don't know when your moment, when your blessing is going to come. So you have to be open to that. You have to be open to it.
I'm open, brother.
You have to be open to it. And the fact that, look, I mean, the last time they went through this whole thing was what, 1918? I mean, you know, those folks figured it out somehow. Yeah, it was bad.
Right.
You know, people perished, but we're still here. We're still here. And I'd much rather be dealing with this in 2020 than 1918.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
That's right, Chris. That's
I
right.
can't imagine how long it took for a vaccine or a stretcher or even, you know, an ambulance to come.
And Dr. Fauci wasn't even born yet.
Well,
Right.
Would be a
looking
couple
at
of
Dr. Fauci, possibly he might have been 5. I'm not sure.
And on that note, Mike, it's time for the wrap up.
It's time for the wrap up. You know what? The wrap up always comes too soon for me. We're getting into some good conversation. You know, John, thanks for letting me moderate the show tonight. I had a great time doing it. Chris, man, love you. Great seeing you. My son was so excited. Funniest person on the planet. He gets back. I thank you, my brother.
I'll take it.
For all of the gifts that God has given you. I thank you that you use those gifts for the glory of God, working with children and things like that. You know, my pastor said to me just the other night, man, and this is you all day. Your gifts will open the door. Your character will keep you there. And that's who you are, Chris. You're a good person. You got a genuine heart. And I pray God's favor on you. Dave Watson, man, you didn't say much. You sat in the box down there in Florida. We didn't get to hear much from you, but you did have the laugh of the day when you held up the picture of Elaine on the phone, man. That was hilarious. Great to see Zany Dave Watson, man. God bless you sitting down there in Florida. Elaine, you come to the table with more stories. We know we've all heard more than Carter's got pills. You have the most interesting stories. So now we know you've dated 4 Academy Award winners. You were practically in a mob shootout. Man, God's favor is definitely on you. Joanne, I love you bring this show all the time. You're always upbeat, positive. You're always so much fun to talk to, man. Love having you on the show. Johnny P, I love you. You've been one of my best friends for 30 years. We go way back. I can't wait to see your smiling face tomorrow as you
better have 275 on the table when I get
right here. You're going to be sitting right here in Grampy Mike Studios. And with that, boys and girls, John Perrotta, you have the final word.
They didn't say the final word. Everybody's going to get a chance to give a rap, Mike. That's my final word is that they're gonna all say a rap. So I'll do that. Elaine, what are you gonna say
I
to
didn't
wrap it
let
up?
them to give the final word. Okay, so let's go around that horn again, just like in baseball. Dave Watson, we didn't hear much from you, so let's hear your final thoughts.
Down here in Florida till April, and looking forward to getting back home to warmer weather and working again with some of you guys. Oh, that's right. My wife just reminded we don't have a home. We sold it to one of my kids, and so we're in the motorhome right now. But we'll find something, and I wanted to get back into all of this, and I told John I would. So I'm looking forward to it.
I used to work with Dave in the early 90s, Chris. We did a place called The Great Imposter, this Italian restaurant, Warwick, Rhode Island. Now, him, myself, and Tim Sullivan used to run this room. Had no clue what we were doing. We sold it out every Saturday night, $5 cover charge. We had Ed the Machine Regine stop in, and Bob Molly, Tom Carter. We had some big nights over there back in the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta be sure, John, when you say I used to work with this guy. I don't know if it's from the jail or from the stage. I gotta make sure.
Comedy.
Okay, I gotta be clear. I don't know. I mean, Dave may have tattoos all up and down his arms and whatnot. I don't know.
I used to mop the floor. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, maybe John did a little reform and took a couple of guys out with him when he left the jail and said, you know what, you're funny. Come with me. I don't know.
Oh, there's been a few comics that did time. I've had a few. Honest to God. They came to me. They were, I want to do comedy. I said, what am I going to do?
Oh my God! I guess you would see him in the jail and go, "Hey, you killed tonight." No, literally, you killed tonight.
Not tonight. Not tonight.
Mike, you've lost control of this wrap up.
Yeah.
No, but it's so fun. It's so fun. You know, we could tag team the wrap up. So, Elaine, let's get your final thoughts on the show, on tonight's show.
No, I had a good time. Thank you. And it's nice reminiscing about all the crazy past and sharing it. And God, I hope we get out of COVID jail soon and start to play again. That would be
right.
the best.
That's right.
And
That's
everybody
right.
stay healthy and happy.
That's
Thank
right.
you, Elaine.
Joanna, let's hear your final thoughts.
I think we should title this episode "The Missing Link."
Yeah.
I'm gonna be sharing the shit out of this episode, but because boy, did we rag on each other good. That was good.
One of the lowlights of the show was talking about Farrah Fawcett. They're crazy. That was crazy, Joanne.
I like to serve up a factoid whenever possible.
We thank you for that, Joanna.
No problem.
Chris is going to get the final word.
Let's get your final thoughts, Chris.
My final thoughts is this was great. Thanks for having me once again, John. Reach out anytime. I'll be on. It was great to meet Dave, ex-con Watson. It was Elaine, the Gooch. You know, I hope they don't serve you with a FISA warrant. Again, it looks like you're pretty comfortable there. J-Rap, I'm sure we'll be sharing a stage soon. Mighty Mike Cronin, always a brother, and JP. If anybody's watching this, look for me on YouTube. And Mike touched upon it. I'm going to be getting more into my motivational speaking. You can follow me on all the social media, Instagram, Twitter, and daily I post some sort of encouraging message.
Great stuff, Chris.
Out in the universe.
Yeah, he does. He really does.
Trying to put positive stuff into the universe so positive stuff doesn't come back and I end up like Steve-O, stuff taped to a billboard. So,
or maybe you'll die with $275 to your name. No,
possibly. Listen, this is a show that's going to Vegas. Us six in balloons bopping across the stage in plastic suits in bubbles. We're going to call it the Bubble Six.
Six in a bubble.
I want to. We can fight. We can bounce off each other.
No fighting. No
fighting. Just bouncing.
Bouncing sounds good.
It's more than you have to get more insurance. It's too much insurance.
This is too much fun.
We'll just sit there and tell stories in oily bubble suits. So we can
Ooh,
fly all over.
oily. Oily.
That's it, Mike, right? That's a wrap.
That's it. We're
You gotta
done.
get your final word, John. You gotta get
My
your
final word, I had a great time. I want to meet this friend of yours. It sounds like somebody that can help me out. I'll get him into comedy. I'll do something with the guy. I like the guy. Always great seeing Elaine, Chris, Dave Watson, Joanna. Well, I'll never get over the Farrah Fawcett thing. That's crazy.
Jesus.
I love Farrah Fawcett. I never knew that detail. That's
So
something I
sorry.
didn't need to know. You
So
kind of
sorry.
ruined things in my head, Joanna. I'm going to be 63, Chris, this Sunday. If I make it, God willing, 63.
Oh man,
You
awesome.
told me when I was 33, when I started comedy, I'd still be here now. I would have never imagined it. I'm still here. So God willing, I got
Look at
a
you
few
now.
years left in me.
He does.
I went from working with Bill Burr, guys like Chris Tabb and all my friends, to doing a Zoom show.
Hey, it's
At least we're
COVID.
keeping connected. We're having fun. We get to see each other. We laugh and we get it's helped us get through the pandemic. Mike Corona, thanks for moderating this whole bash, whatever you want to call it. And that's
That's
it,
his
right?
name. Yeah.
That's it. Everybody stay healthy.
Good
God bless you
time.
guys and girls.
Everybody reach out, contact me. We'll stay in touch.
Chris
Amen.
Tabb,
God
reach out to
bless.
Chris Tabb. He's the man.
Reach out to Chris.